In 1908, something exploded over Siberia with the force of hundreds of atomic bombs. It flattened more than 800 square miles of forest. Millions of trees fell in the same direction, as if an invisible hand had pushed them to the ground. But when scientists finally reached the site, there was no crater, no impact hole, no buried meteor. So what really exploded over Tunguska? On the morning of the 30th of June 1908, the sky above central Siberia suddenly caught fire. Witnesses saw a blinding object streak across the heavens. Some said it looked like a second sun. Others felt a wave of heat so strong they thought their clothes would burst into flames. Then came the sound. A blast so powerful it shattered windows hundreds of miles away. The ground shook. Animals panicked. People were knocked off their feet. And deep in the remote forest near the Tunguska River, something had changed the land forever. The strange part is that no one went to investigate immediately. The region was isolated, frozen, difficult to reach, and almost completely cut off from the outside world. Russia was already dealing with political chaos, war, revolution, and collapse. So, for years, the greatest explosion in recorded human history was left sitting in the wilderness, a mystery buried under snow, silence, and fallen trees. It was not until 1927, almost 19 years later, that a scientist named Leonid Kulik finally led an expedition into the region. Kulik believed a meteorite had struck Siberia, and if he could find it, he thought it might contain valuable iron from space. But when his team reached the blast zone, what they saw was almost impossible to process. The forest had been flattened in a giant circular pattern. Trees lay on the ground for miles. Their trunks pointed away from a central point, like spokes on a wheel. It looked exactly like the aftermath of an enormous explosion. But here's where it gets strange. At the center of the blast, some trees were still standing. Their branches had been stripped away, leaving bare trunks like blackened telephone poles. That meant the explosion had not come from the ground. It had exploded above it. Kulik searched for a crater. Nothing. He searched for fragments. Almost nothing. No giant meteorite. No hole in the earth. No obvious impact site. Just a forest destroyed from the sky. The deeper scientists looked, the stranger Tunguska became. People hundreds of miles away had seen the sky glowing for nights afterward. In parts of Europe, the night became so bright that people reportedly could read newspapers outdoors. Something had filled the upper atmosphere with dust, ice, or vapor. But what? For decades, theories multiplied. Some said it was a comet. A body of ice that entered Earth's atmosphere, exploded from the pressure, and vaporized before hitting the ground. Others said it was a small asteroid, a rocky object that burst in the air before impact. Some proposed stranger ideas. Natural gas exploding from underground, a tiny black hole passing through Earth, antimatter, even a crashed alien spacecraft. But none of these theories explained everything perfectly. If it was a meteor, where were the pieces? If it was a comet, why did the explosion create such a precise blast pattern? If it was something else, why did it leave so few clues? For years, Tunguska remained one of the greatest unsolved events of the modern age. A disaster with witnesses, a blast with measurements, a destroyed forest, but no weapon, no crater, no body. Then modern science began to uncover the most likely answer. Tunguska was probably caused by a cosmic airburst. A large space rock, possibly 160 to 200 feet wide, entered the atmosphere at incredible speed. As it fell, the pressure in front of it became too intense. The object heated, cracked, compressed, and finally exploded several miles above the ground. It never needed to hit Earth. The atmosphere itself turned it into a bomb. That is why there was no crater. The explosion happened in the sky. The shockwave did the damage. The trees beneath the blast were stripped and burned, while the surrounding forest was pushed outward by the force. And the object itself mostly disintegrated before it could leave behind a clear impact scar. But here is the part people rarely think about. Tunguska happened over one of the most remote regions on Earth. If the object had entered the atmosphere just a few hours later, the rotation of the planet could have placed a major city beneath it. A blast of that size over London, Paris, Moscow, or New York would have changed history. Not as a mystery, as a catastrophe. Today, the forest has grown back. The fallen trees have decayed. The witnesses are gone. But Tunguska remains a warning from the sky, a reminder that Earth moves through a universe filled with ancient debris, silent stones, frozen bodies, fragments of worlds that died before human beings ever looked up. And sometimes, one of them finds us. The Tunguska explosion left no crater, but it left something deeper, a question carved into the memory of the modern world. If the sky can explode once, when will it happen again? Subscribe to Forgotten Realms for more strange stories buried in history.